A couple of days ago, I posted a poll in my community tab asking which feature you most want to see in the next Grounded update. The top vote getter so far has been armor upgrades, so in this video, I'm going to take a look at how they might work. Let's get started. With the addition of weapon upgrades in the Hot and Hazy update, and then the further expansion upon it in the Into the Wood update, I think it's logical to assume that at some point in the future, perhaps even as early as the next update for Grounded, that we might be able to upgrade our armor. And it appears many of you agree with that since that was the #1 voted option in my poll. So let's take a look at real quick how I think it might work. And we're going to first do that by looking at how weapon upgrades work. So weapon upgrades real quick, if you're not familiar, and for those of you who are, we're just going to breeze through this pretty quickly. You need to get the smithing station, which you can purchase from Burgle. I think immediately, as soon as you repair Burgle, give them the grassland chip, pretty sure you can purchase this. It's super easy to craft. It only costs, I think, 10 quartzite, some weed stems, crude rope, and some sap. Once you have that, what you're going to do is you're just going to pick a weapon. And in order to upgrade your weapons from levels 1 to 5, it just requires quartzite shards. You can find quartzite all over the map. Specifically now that the map's been enlarged, the Haze area has tons of it. You can just find a lot of quartzite. It's pretty easy to get to level up your weapons level 1 to 5. Once you want to go to level 6 and 7, you're going to have to use the globs that you're going to have to make inside the oven. Levels 8 and 9, you're going to need twinkling shells plus more globs to make the jewels. So that's how you get things from levels 1 to 9. So how could that work for armor? What I did was I looked at the different resources that are in the game right now, tried to look for something that's comparable to quartzite, but also is underused. And what I landed on was bug rubber. I think bug rubber will be the perfect resource to allow us to upgrade our armor from levels 1 to 5. In doing so, it could be similar to how weapons are upgraded. So quartzite added to the weapons increases the damage output they do. I think, and also the durability. I think what would make sense would be for bug rubber to do the same thing. It could improve the defense for each armor, perhaps by the same amounts, 5%, 10%, all the way up to 25%. Also increase the durability as well by the same amounts, making them last longer and have a little bit more defense. I think that makes a lot of sense because bug rubber really is completely underutilized right now. It's only used for bounce webs. It's also easy to get like quartzite. In the beginning of the game, you can get a decent amount of sap just by wandering around the oak tree. You can set up sap collectors. You can also get lots of sap over by the hedge, as well as some other wood. Any place in the yard basically that has wood in it, whether it's sticks or branches from the tree, you're going to be able to get some sap. Acid glands are pretty easy to get. In fact, I end up getting so many of these that I can never use them. You get those from larvae, which are all over the early part of the game in the grasslands. You can get them from red soldier ants. I believe black soldier ants also drop them, and definitely termites drop them. So you're going to get an abundance of these as well. So I think this bug rubber will be comparable to the quartzite for allowing us to upgrade levels 1 to 5. Beyond that, what I was looking at was what would make sense to level up level 6 and 7, and then also 8 and 9. So what I was looking at was kind of tier 2 resources for 6 and 7, tier 3 resources for 8 and 9. And I was kind of looking at resources that maybe end up being underutilized. So specifically berry leather, I know early going in the game, probably mid game as well, you're going to use a lot of berry leather because it's for most of the tier 2 stuff you're going to see here. However, once you end up progressing beyond the tier 2 armors, tier 2 weapons, and get onto the tier 3, you're just not going to use it that much. And chances are you're going to end up getting a decent amount of it. So you're going to end up having a stockpile of it and really not needing to go back to the hedge. Making berry leather the requirement for level 6 and 7 for armor upgrades, along with silk rope, those would be the two things I would combine together, plus one other resource that we'll talk about in just a second. Having that would give you a reason to go back to the hedge. It would make you want to go back to that part of the map more often, which I think is definitely a benefit. Silk rope you can get a decent amount of as well, and it will give reason to fight spiders. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of spiders. I usually try to avoid them. However, if getting the berry leather, being able to upgrade level 6 and 7 for armor required me to get silk rope, I'd probably go out of my way to fight as many spiders as possible, or at the very least, chop down their webs or break the web sacks. So we're going to talk about what you're going to combine with these in just a second, but first I want to talk about levels 8 and 9. So levels 8 and 9 would be pupa leather and lint rope. It would just be going up the tiers here. As you can see, pupa leather, it's one of the newer resources that was added into the wood update. It's only being used right now for 2 parts of the roly-poly armor, the black ox hammer and the black ox burger. So it's really underutilized. Now, perhaps it's going to be used in future armors that might be added. We're not sure if there's going to be armors added in the future or other weapons, but it could certainly be used for this purpose. Lint rope is used a little bit more. It's used for the termite armor, 2 parts of the roly-poly armor, and for all the burr floors and the bird floors. So it does have some use there. It would also give a reason to go up one and get more lint. Right now, I pretty much have a decent stockpile lint just from getting it from the gardening glove. But I basically never go up onto the shed deck anymore because I just don't feel like collecting lint up there and having to deal with all those dust mites. So it would give a reason to go up there, especially if you were upgrading levels 8 and 9. Now, as you know, if you don't know, when you're upgrading your weapons, you're going to need to use different types of upgrade paths. So the options are quartzite if you just want to go up the mighty path, which just adds flat damage. Mint's going to give you fresh attack on top of extra damage and durability, and the quartzite gives more durability. Salt's going to give you a salty attack plus more damage and durability. Spicy is going to give you the spicy attack plus more damage and durability. So they all increase damage and durability. The salt, mint, and spicy add different flavors to the weapons. Different insects are weak to certain flavors and strong against certain flavors. And then quartzite just goes up the straight more damage and durability path. So what I was looking at was, what could we maybe combine here to add different bonuses to the armors? And what I was thinking was, and this would apply level 6, 7, as well as 8, 9. So when you're going level 6 to 7, you would need the berry leather and the silk rope. And the 3 resources that I came up with, and we'll just search for them real quick, that I think are kind of also a little bit underutilized right now. Now, bug loop is new. It's only used in the termite axe, spicy coltana, the black oxburger, and the termite delight. So 2 meals, 2 weapons. Beyond that, and you end up getting a ton of bug loop. Most of the new bugs up in the upper yard drop bug loop, so you're going to get a decent amount of it. So what I was thinking was combining this with berry leather and silk rope would increase defense. Same thing with pupa leather and lint rope. So this would kind of be going down the mighty path where you're basically just adding flat defense. So bug loop would be increased defense. The second resource I was looking at, another one I think is pretty underutilized, is going to be muscle sprouts. So muscle sprouts are currently only used to make the beefy smoothies, which will give you increased amount of healing. Beyond that, you just don't use them. And honestly, this would give a reason to go back down into the pond to get them. Because to be completely honest, I mean, I do use beefy smoothies a lot, so I do make my way down into the pond lab dome periodically to grab some muscle sprouts. I think there's about 40 or so down there, something like that. I think it's about 40. It's anywhere, it's 28 to 40. Maybe it's 30 to 40 muscle sprouts down there, something like that. So just having a reason to go back down there aside from making the smoothies, because maybe you just use regular smoothies with grub goop, or maybe you use the sticky smoothies with the gum. Maybe, yeah, I mean, so this would just give another reason to go down and get more muscle sprouts. And for muscle sprouts, what that would do would be decrease stamina usage. So if you know me, you know that my biggest gripe with most survival games in general is the stamina usage. The stamina usage in Grounded is okay. It's not great. It's not terrible. I just think it's okay. There's some games that are much more punishing. Some games are much more lenient. I'd prefer to have a way for me to be able to reduce my stamina usage. Now, I was relying on the spider armor prior to the Into the Wood update because I love the fact that it was light armor and had 2 stamina bonuses for it. They changed it to medium armor, so it's not as good as it was before. Allowing me to use muscle sprouts to upgrade my armor to level 6, 7, and then 8 and 9, and getting reduced stamina usage would be fantastic. And then the third option that I came up with would be increased movement speed. And for that, I would go with crow feathers. I think it kind of makes the most sense. Even though crow feathers are used for a decent amount of things, most of these are building options. I know people used to have trouble finding crow feathers, but now that you can scan for them, it's pretty easy to find crow feathers. It's pretty easy to find most resources now just because you can scan for them pretty early on in the game once you've found one of them. Honestly, I never even have to scan for crow feathers, and I found a ton of them. So that, to me, would allow you to increase your movement speed, similar to how the aphid slippers, and it would also bring back the movement speed buff that spider armor used to have, but now you'd be able to apply to any of them. So what these would do would basically, you'd be able to do it for any of the armors. Now, it would be a little bit more costly because each armor piece has, and you can maybe mix and match too. I didn't even think about this prior to when I started recording this. Perhaps you have the antlion armor and you want to put defense on one, stamina, decrease stamina on another, and increase movement speed on the third piece. You could do mix and match. You could do all 3 with defense, all 3 with stamina, all 3 with movement speed, and it would just give you more diversity in your gameplay. It would let you pick the armor that you prefer, maybe how it looks, or maybe because of the specific bonuses. Maybe you like the fact that the B armor gives you bow stun, or maybe you like the fact that the koi scale armor gives you perfect block, but it's lower defense. Now you could increase the defense if you wanted to, or you could make it have better movement speed or reduce stamina usage. Whatever you want to choose, it would allow you to basically use all the different armors in more ways. It would add increased depth to the combat, I think. It would give you more choice over how you play the game. And overall, I think this would be a great way to add armor upgrades to the game. So let me know what you think down in the comments. I know a lot of you voted on this, so it seems like a popular feature that you'd like to see. Let me know if you agree or disagree with my suggestions on how I would implement armor upgrades into Grounded. Let me know down in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, make sure to click the like button and consider subscribing for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and thank you to all my channel members, especially the Overseer91, Gray Knight, Baz Channel, and all my other channel members who help make videos like this possible. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.